I promised you a long time ago when I covered Mortemia's Frozen cover of Madonna's hit song off of the recently unveiled The COVID Aftermath sessions that I would be giving Federica Lana and her talents in terms of other group attributions a closer look in the future at some point, because I thought her voice was quite charming. Now, as much as I've extended myself into the European metal scene, you know it's a favorite of mine if you follow my music coverage here. I spend a lot of time in this realm of the world because there's so much talent to speak of. My playlist has been kind of free, though, of Italian talents, and bringing Federica Lana on as the first, her vocal range was quite incredible. I thought in terms of complimenting Madonna's voice, she was, like, right on par. Even level for me. I honestly, and I'm not a big Madonna fan, by the way, but I didn't even listen to as much of her work. I mean, I'm not a big fan of Madonna, but in covering Mortemia's work, I did consult the original piece for Frozen, and having listened to both artists, Federica Lana sounds like really similar, but her range I thought was quite good. It's a very soft voice, delicate, but there is a beauty behind it. And I did promise, like I said, with that first initial tease, VOLTURIAN coverage was incoming, and it's finally here today. It took me a while to get on top of it, but I figured I would consult some of their works, not only on the basis of Federica Lana, but I was quite impressed when I looked up some background on her to stumble upon some of the covers of her recent works with VOLTURIAN. Crimson, in fact, the album we're spotlighting today and part of the New Life song, the cover itself enchanted me. I'm a big metal guy, and of course, I'll tell you, specifically the European scene, symphonic metal really appeals to me, and some groups in particular, like Mortemia, have a more gothic presence. The cover in itself evoked that energy quite well. You know, I have an artistic eye, and I'm like, that immediately was quite beautiful when I looked at the piece, and I'm like, okay, that's enough to tease me, you know? So at this point, I've collected a good sundry, in fact, I purchased outright some of VOLTURIAN's work from those tracks, and the newer album, I forget the name of it at the moment, like Red Skies or something like that? I forget. But I figured I would consult it, to better understand perhaps the presence of VOLTURIAN and hear Federica Lana and of her ventures. As I, expand the presence of music on this channel in terms of coverage, which for me has been a long passion of mine, and it's certainly succeeded into the 2022 year, and I'm happy to continue this even more so into 2023. Music for me really is a first passion amid all the other art forms I cover, and while each individual art style has its own unique language, and I appreciate each one for that, music for me has been the one that's been the more predominant appreciation of my life. It's the art form and artistic expression that I closely revere. And VOLTURIAN, hopefully, will be a great presence. And maybe for some of you, you're a longtime fan, and it's an established name. Maybe you've ventured like me into the European scene, and you've been in such a deep romance of it, you find yourself spending so much time there, even from the comfort of your own home. But for those of you who perhaps, and I'm assuming this is going to be the case for you, this is a first introduction. I hope you get, again, we're getting a first introduction together in terms of VOLTURIAN, but I hope you get a solid introduction through Federica Lana's vocals. Again, like I said, if you haven't heard that Mortemia collaboration, it's exquisite, in my opinion. Beautiful listen, it's a favorite of mine of his work. I mean, I thought Federica Lana, just like many of the other collaborative artists he's brought on from many different groups for his collaborative model, she was quite impressive to listen to. Let's take a look at the New Life song. That's the first one I'm consulting off of Crimson. I'm going in order here, and again, I'm judging by the music videos that are released, so it gives us a bit of a visualizer to complement the piece. I'm going to cue the feed up, and for those of you who perhaps, again, this is a first introduction, not only to VOLTURIAN, of course, but to my work in terms of music coverage, I try and accommodate audience listeners how best I can, and if you're somebody that likes to read along with the lyrics of the piece, I will have those provided to you on part of the bottom of the screen. They'll be linked within the video, and you'll be able to read along with the piece as it proceeds forward. Okay, so with that said, let's get ourselves a first introduction. Again, I've been waiting for a little while, but I told you, I promised VOLTURIAN stuff was coming, and now I'm finally here to best gauge it. But Mortemia, again, provided a wonderful doorway into exploring, I'm sure, another talent. Let's see how VOLTURIAN stacks up. Dynamic opening, synth heavy, good presence though, the new modern metal band, I like that. Good pacing. Comes across as a great origin. Beautiful videos too, great titling, very dramatic. Good opening riff, fabulous introduction. I'm assuming this is more of like a foundational piece because of all these teases here. It's interesting they put them at the beginning of the video. I don't see that often in regard to how videos are structured in terms of the advertisement side.
It run too fast, we were too blind to see it, too young to seize it.
Great energy. I love how her accent just naturally swings in, but it has this mainstream female vocalist like in rock scene. It has that feel of what would be typical, I'd say, in American music as well. There's a connection point, but the accent gives it a nice dimension and uniqueness. Is that her or somebody else in the background? No, that's one of the backup singers, okay. Or one of the supporting group members. Great presence in the piece. Again, so many different mainstays in rock well incorporated here into her first debut piece. I'm assuming, again, it's a debut because of the way this is marketed. I really like the presence to this piece. Again, it's got such a good structure. Very enjoyable, like mainstream rock and metal, but excellent. Good riff pause, by the way. Again, like I said, there's some mainstream elements here in terms of the construction of what's usually available in the rock scene that many artists have played with, but again, as a foundational work and an initial release, it's great.
We will make it stand through the oceans, through the times a million feelings will we stand alone without decision.
Great levity to her voice. Again, I like this lightness to it, but it's still passionate. She's been very enjoyable to listen to. You know, I did take it on faith in regards to that early introduction of Mortemia, that I would like what I heard from VOLTURIAN. And in particular, I might just go out and buy the entire albums, to be honest with you. That's a great impression. I bought about 8 of their pieces in regard to what I have to cover, including this one. Again, on faith. And it was quite rewarded, as it always is in the European scene. Again, it's rare for me to buy all these types of tracks outright, but usually I like to get a first introduction to the music that I cover and then, proceed into it. And maybe at that point when I've covered a good share of the pieces, then to maybe buy the entire album and listen to the rest for myself, or maybe cover the album in its entirety. I've done that on occasion with some American talent, not as much as in Europe, but I have done it in America on a selective basis, because I have to balance, in this case, passion in regards to how I approach these videos. They are very much more a passion project and of an artistic pursuit than a lot of other ventures on my channel. So for me, I have to balance, again, passion with the work side and time balance, and that takes a lot in terms of the publication, the editing of these videos, and even just getting them done. It was very much, again, I wanted to cover music at a greater depth and introduce myself in part to newer artists. But this model, again, of buying artists outright, I've applied this as well, specifically in regards to Mortemia with other artists he's collaborated with. Let's say, for example, Erica Olson of Metalite. I bought all their albums outright on faith, and the same with Melissa Bonney from Ad Infinitum, who I'm in love with. That band is great. I've covered, I think, 11 works at this point on this channel. I've listened to all the albums in full. I'm so happy with them. VOLTURIAN, it's the same. This has a bit of I believe I'm looking at a foundational stage in their tenure as a band. And it has that vibe in the way that it's marketed. I found it interesting, again, that there's all these sort of adverts at the beginning. And then it comes into, the actual tune and the video to go along with it, which I thought was kind of an enjoyable performance. Again, like I said, Federica Lana has a great presence to her. Her voice is incredible. I love the lightness to it. There's a nice, daunting frailty. And then when I couple that, again, with the rock emphasis, and you can hear in part, right, that subtle Italian accent, which, again, like I've said, I I'm still making my way around specific European countries, and I've consulted, let's say, artists that are Welsh, Swedish, Swiss, German. I don't think I've ever hit Italian yet. Dutch. So this is the first introduction, but hey, I'm like, Federica Lana has a exquisite talent, in my opinion, and her voice is blended very well with main elements in many other rock constructions. So for an emerging group, this is a wonderful, at least in that time, this was a wonderful piece to launch with, I think. New Life sets a great impression of the band automatically. And I did see, based on some of the comments I received in the Mortinia coverage that I offered for Federica Lana's collaboration specifically, that was a feeling among other Volturian fans, and that in fact some tracks are recommended to me, and I believe all the ones that were recommended will be coming at some point. So there's a little tease for you as to what I have to offer with Volturian. I'll probably be uploading all of these on the same day, though I'm not exactly sure, but it's a good tune. I mean, the energy to it, I like the piece. I mean, the lyrics, I did kind of get lost in the song in regard to the energy to it, because I really like just hearing the rock stuff. Metal is what I naturally gravitate to, and stuff in the European scene I've been so charmed by. I mean, it's a pretty good scope in terms of the tune as I'm kind of perusing the lyrics over, just skimming it a bit. Has a good vision, and I thought the video, again, was a great compliment. It was more so just like, a standard performance, just watching Federica Lana, sing and stuff like that, with some other background compliments through other band members in terms of the vocals. I mean, I like that screaming section. Great insert there. It does diversify the work a bit. Add some enjoyment, though. I thought it was quite a compelling piece. I'm definitely interested in hearing more. Like I said, that first introduction was fabulous, and even though, again, that had a daintiness to it, this is much more along mainstream rock lines, and I think it's a very dynamic work. New Life, I think, is a good foundational piece, and I'm very excited to hear more, not only from Crimson, but Volturian in full. And as I said, more coverage incoming at some point soon. I got a lot to look through. I'm going for a lot of artists specifically today, and I've been meaning to hit Volturian up for a while, and finally I was able to give their work a look, and I'm very satisfied with what I've just heard. What are your guys' thoughts on the piece? If this is the first introduction, it's assuming it will be for most of you. Given, and I've judged, I qualify Volturian perhaps in context to me as an unfamiliar talent, because I think immediately of my social circle, and I mention this all the time, like 98% of the bands I ring up in regards to European names, no one knows. So I do feel a bit isolated in regards to my music taste, but it's been great, by the way, in terms of, and I didn't go into this thinking of it as much of a possibility, but it's been great through my music coverage to be able to meet some of you as well who share music tastes. I don't have much of a connection like that in my real life, and especially when it comes to the European scene, I've absolutely loved getting to know some of you in regards to your interests that are very similar to mine, because I don't sense that connection in my world that often in terms of what I'm familiar with. So perhaps you are somebody, like I said, who this is a first name to in terms of an introduction with Volturian. I hope you liked that track as much as I did. Again, I had the basis going in of Federica Lana's talents because of that Mortinia collaboration, but having listened to it again in a rock space, in what Volturian manages, I think it's exquisite. It's just as good as it was, when I originally heard it for the first time. Let me know your thoughts down below, as well as you longtime Volturian fans. What were your thoughts on the piece? I'm sure, again, based on this, it's been a quality journey, all the way. And again, I'll gain an impression with that I can maybe share that mutual respect of you as I proceed forward for some of their other works. Let me know what your thoughts are down below if you still wish to disclose your perspective. Again, like I said, I think New Life's quite a banger. It's got a lot of mainstream elements to it that can produce a beautiful and sufficient rock track, I think, for a first arrival, and coupled with Federica Lana's voice, it has a good presence to it. I think the piece is a fabulous baseline for Volturian to obviously launch a career off of. It's a wonderful song. Great, very energetic, lively, really liked it. Thank you so much for watching this video. Before you bounce, feel free to drop a like and comment, subscribe to this channel with a ding on the bell, and share this video with your friends. And consider checking out the description here. There you'll find links to my other channels, as well as addresses to my other social media accounts and ways you can help support my work if you feel so inclined. May God bless you, and looking forward to when our paths cross again.